right, argument?
Yes, ma'am. Judge, I want to be clear what we're asking for today before I begin the meat of my argument. We're asking for a life sentence to serve in FE 2024-666 count 1. As we know, the imposition of 2 life sentences is not available given the 2 parts of the statute that we are working with. So I want to be clear that that is what we're asking the court to go forward on and why. And I'm also asking the court to obviously impose the 3 years that is required by count 5 in that same case number. And in FE 2024-873 count 1, I'm asking you to sentence him to 5 years and not suspend any of that. Judge, Brendan Banfield planned and carried out the executions of 2 innocent victims, his wife Christine and Joe Ryan, a stranger to him. He planned their murders over several months, enlisting the help of his co-defendant and affair partner, Juliana Perez Magalhães. He planned ruthless and brutal killings, shooting Joe in the head, stabbing Christine in the neck over and over again, and instructing Juliana to shoot Joe a second time. He manipulated the crime scene and lied about the circumstances of their deaths, painting Joe as a violent intruder when he had hand-selected Joe as his second victim, posing as Christine online looking for someone with whom to act out a rape fantasy outside of her marriage. And neither version is at all close to the truth. They are lies. Christine was a daughter, a sister, a mother, a nurse, and a friend. Her parents, her sister, her co-workers and friends told you about Christine and how much she matters to them in their lives. Joe was a son, a brother, a grandson, an uncle, a cousin, and a devoted animal lover. His mom, Deirdre, and his Ryan family members told you how much he matters to them in their lives. These families won't be able to celebrate obvious, joyous milestones like graduations, weddings, holiday celebrations with Christine and Joe. It's important for us to remember the intangible moments that these families have lost as well. Christine was murdered before her daughter started kindergarten. Christine is never going to take a first day of school picture with her daughter. She's never going to attend field day or chaperone a field trip. Christine will never know what activities her daughter loves. Will she play soccer? Be on a summer swim team? Will she play an instrument? Be a theater kid? Will she be an artist? Christine won't be here to know any of that. Christine won't be here to offer her daughter opportunities to help her find what she loves. And Valerie won't have her mother's guidance and love as she navigates the question of who she is. Joe is loved and cherished by his family, and they endured a false narrative portraying Joe to be a violent criminal. He was a loving caretaker in his family. He cared for his grandpa, his grandma, and his mom, uprooting himself selflessly to be closer to them as they needed him. He loved and cared for neglected and abused animals. He was single when he was murdered. He won't get married. He won't become a father. He won't create his own family, and he won't create any new memories with the family he has here today. Banfield and his co-defendant are the causes of the immeasurable loss suffered by Christine and Joe's families. There is nothing that can lessen their devastation. Nothing we can do or say will bring Joe and Christine back to their families. This sentencing ends the in-court process, but it is not an end to anyone's grief. For all of these reasons, I am asking you to impose every minute of active incarceration that the law requires and that the law allows. The sun should never shine on Mr. Banfield's skin as a free man again.
Thank you, Ms. Chrisley. Argument, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you. Your Honor, there's recognition on the part of the defense that the jury verdict leaves very little room for discretion, but there are some areas that I would like to argue with relating to the Commonwealth's argument as well as the narrative that's been presented. The Commonwealth pursued a theory of catfishing for years, Judge, while having the answers within their grasp with the digital forensics examiner. Behind the scenes, police officers were trying to change the expert opinion, and Detective Miller, to his credit, resisted. In fact, this executive summary that he testified to remained the same except for one new fact, the changed testimony of the co-defendant. Commonwealth made a significant effort to diminish the role that digital forensics plays in these and the other investigations. They never called their witness for the Commonwealth's case, and the strategy paid off because the jury saw this as credibility determination between the co-defendant and my client. That was a much easier question for them to answer instead of the difficulties of parsing through the digital evidence and other scientific evidence. By making it about credibility, there was no need to resolve such questions such as, if the co-defendant did not know how to log into the suspect accounts, who accessed Christine Banfield's laptop on at least 10 occasions when Brendan Banfield was nowhere near the home or the device in question? Second question, how did Christine Banfield not discover the two-factor authentication on her personal cell phone that the co-defendant testified that she secured surreptitiously from Christine Banfield and then put it back? And finally, with regard to digital forensics, how was this plan, according to the co-defendant, executed on February 23rd, the night before the murder, with Christine's laptop, while within minutes Christine was accessing her work and also shopping? Those questions remain, Judge, and those were incumbent upon the jury to resolve. With regard to the bloodstain pattern analysis, by making the credibility of the co-defendant versus Brendan the issue, there was no need to resolve questions such as, why did Joe Ryan have an injury to his hand that would have held the knife? This was corroborated by the medical examiner. Why was Joe Ryan's DNA found under Christine Banfield's fingernails? Why was Brendan Banfield's DNA not present in any of the certificates of analysis of relevance, and why were there no fingerprints of Brendan Banfield? With clear evidence that Joe Ryan supplied the knife, why was it not considered that Joe's DNA was at the juncture of the blade of the knife and the handle, and that Brendan Banfield's was not present on that item? Why was it not considered that Joe Ryan hit Brendan on his back after being shot, and the blood analysis shows it was Christine Banfield's blood, indicative of Christine bleeding at the hands of Joe Ryan? And ultimately, Judge, why did we not hear from the Fairfax PD regarding who Joe Ryan was, or other officers in terms of the Commonwealth's case? The co-defendant, even in her testimony and numerous times before that, indicated that she never saw Brendan touch Joe Ryan's body. Your Honor, the jury has spoken, and we must live with the finding, and my client is prepared to be sentenced while these and many other questions remain. Thank you.